as soon as me and Scott Jackson was coming from like our lunch little date thing, she knows Stone Reed. So she knows Stone Reed, and Stone Reed was calling her and texting her. So I'm guessing they close friends or whatever. So she answered the phone, and we getting in the car. I let her drive because she doing her little independent thing, so I wanted her to feel like she doing her thing. So she answered the phone and she was like, "Hello." She was like, "It's Storm, girl. What you doing?" So she like, I'm like, I just came from a meeting, a movie meeting, and I'm about to start filming this movie in like a week. So she's like, "Ooh, what's the movie about?" So she like, it's like a love story, comedy type of stuff. So she's like, "So do you like it?" So she's like, "Girl, yeah, I like it. It's something different, something that's going to challenge me. I never really played like a love interest before. All of my roles is like kitty roles." So she like, "I want to see this movie." So Sky like, "I'm going to try my best to put my all into it." So she was like, "Oh, okay. So I mean, who's the lucky guy that plays your boyfriend?" So she was like, "You don't know him. He's a new actor. His name is David." So she's like, "David, I never heard of him." So she was like, "I just said you never heard of him. He's a new actor, but you probably going to hear about him." So she was like, "I gotta go. I'm about to drive." So she was like, "All right, we'll call you later, girl." So she called her back and she was like, "Yes." She was like, "Yes, Storm." So she was like, "Girl, I just came from that Superfly premiere, the world premiere. They gave us like a private screening of it." So she was like, "Superfly, what type of movie? Well, who playing that?" So she was like, "Trevor Jackson." So she was like, "Oh, yeah, I seen the previews of that, the trailer on YouTube. How was the movie?" So she was like, "It was pretty good for the most part. It wasn't bad." So she was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll probably check it out when it comes out in theaters." So she was like, "I gotta go." So she get off the phone, and we go back to the office or whatever. And the people they still in there, but they was like we was basically done the meeting. We just went back to the office. So all I remember is like, we go back to the office and my soldiers, bring one of my other soldiers and they're like, I guess this nigga was stealing money from me. And so they brought him into the office and I had to deal with that situation right in front of Sky. So they was like, here you go right here. This nigga been stealing money up under you, David. This nigga right here. And he talking about he your fucking soldier. This nigga right here. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, "So you been stealing money from me?" So he like, "Look, man, you a trillionaire. It's not like you losing money." I'm like, "I don't care if I'm a damn trillionaire. That don't fucking matter. It's the principle about the thing. You don't be stealing money up under me and thinking that I'm gonna sit like I'm gonna be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Just because I got that type of money don't mean that I want somebody to steal shit from me. So let me ask you a question. How much money was you stealing?" So he like, I mean, it wasn't even that much. I said, "Well, if it wasn't that much, you can tell me how much you were stealing." So he was like, "Man, it was just like a few grand." I'm like, "A few grand, like how much?" So some of my soldiers like, "Man, this nigga was stealing millions. This nigga was stealing millions. He's a fucking liar. He was stealing millions like your manager." So I'm like, "Oh, he was." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "So you got a plan to give me my money back?" So he like, "Man, I know. I mean, I spent it." I'm like, "Okay, well, you gonna have to pay for it another way." Now, I don't got time to be talking to you about this. My soldier's gonna deal with you. So they take him on out of the office or whatever like that. And Sky was like looking at me, and I'm like, I'm sorry that you had to see that." So she's like, It's okay. It was kind of like the movies coming in. It was kind of like a movie, like coming to life. So it's okay. So I'm like, okay. She was like, so I guess I'll see you. I'm like, yeah. So she's like, "Well, I promised my mom I'll come right back, because my mom is waiting for me at the hotel. So I promised her that I would come to the meeting and drive right back." So I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess this is it." She's like, "It's not gonna be the last time we see each other. We're gonna be filming a movie together like in a week." So I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "And I'll call you." I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "I'll call you in a few minutes. Matter of fact, I'll call you in like the next hour. Just promise me you'll pick up." So I'm like, "All right, I'll pick up." She's like, "Okay." So I go back and I'm looking at Selena Gomez. So I'm looking at Selena Gomez and I'm picking up my daughter and Selena like, what the fuck was you doing so damn fucking long where you couldn't pick up your phone? Like you literally couldn't pick your fucking phone up. I'm like, Selena, I picked my phone up when you called me the first time. She's like, yeah, but I called you a lot more times after that and you didn't pick the fucking phone up. So what the fuck was you doing with Sky Jackson? I'm like, we were just out, just having, a busy, a business type of like luncheon. She like, what the fuck? Why was you stuttering? What you mean a business type of luncheon? So I'm like, I mean, look, Selena, what? Nothing going on. All we was doing was talking about the movie. So she was like, okay, if all you was doing is talking about the fucking movie, why couldn't you move your damn hands to pick up the phone? See, this is what drives me to think you was doing some shit you wasn't supposed to be doing. So I'm like, look, Selena, I don't have time for this shit. So she's like, oh, you don't, huh? So you don't want to get married tomorrow, is that right? I'm like, well, do you? She's like, I do, David. So I'm like, why did your tone just switch up? She's like, because I love you, David. I don't want to lose you. I'm like, okay, Selena, we getting married tomorrow. Just stop nagging me, girl. She's like, okay, I just want some dick, and I'm horny, and I miss you. I'm like, all right. So I had to do my thing with Selena, beat her pussy up. And she was like knocked out. And then, I was playing with my daughter and Sky Jackson called me like she said. So she called me. I'm like, hey, Sky. She was like, hey, David, I'm kind of like miss talking to you. What you doing? So I'm like, with my daughter. She's like, you got a daughter? I'm like, yeah, is that okay? She's like, I mean, yeah, it's not going to scare me away, but I didn't know you had a baby. I'm like, yeah. So she was like, oh, okay. So, about the date, I can't stop thinking about it, how it happened. But I told my mom about it. I'm like, oh, you did? She's like, I tell my mother everything. I'm like, okay. So she was like, I told my mom that I like you and I think you was really cute and I can like see us like kind of like, I don't know, being a couple. I'm not saying now, but like in the future, I'm like, oh, you can see us being like girlfriend and boyfriend. She's like, yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay. So she's like, so what do you think our next date should be? I'm like, I don't know. Like the movies, do you like the movies? She's like, yeah, I like the movies. So I'm like, what movie you want to go see? So she's like, that Superfly movie sounds nice. That Storm Reed was telling me about my friend. So maybe we can go see that. I'm like, well, when does it come out? She's like, it comes out June the 13th. So I'm like, okay. She's like, and then plus I have like a lot of other things like lined up for this for like the couple of days until the June 13th because that's like the only day that I have off. Like we can like really do something together and I don't have to worry about going to a meeting or anything like that. We can really like spend the whole day together if that's okay. I'm like, yeah, that'll be perfect. So she's like, but we can still talk every day, every night until June the 13th. If that's, if she's like, is that okay? I'm like, yeah, that's okay. She's like, and we can FaceTime and all that stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I ain't too big on FaceTime. She's like, why? You got a pretty face. I'm like, I don't think I got a pretty face. She's like, you do. Your face is really pretty. I'm like, okay, but your face is prettier than mine. She's like, no, I'm not. People used to tell me that my face was ugly, and I used to get bullied a lot. I'm like, well, I used to get bullied too. She's like, well, I guess we belong together then. I'm like, I guess so. So she's like, so I kind of heard through the reliable source. She was like, I kind of heard through the reliable source that you is dating Selena. I'm like, how you find that out? So she was like, I got a lot of people in this industry that kind of like look out for me, and they told me that you were her boyfriend, and they seen y'all together. So I'm like, oh, okay. So she's like, I want to date you, but I don't want you to play me. Like, I don't want to be some side piece chick. So how do you want to do this? So I'm like, I'm going to date you. So she's like, you going to date me and only me? Is that what you're saying? I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, all right, okay. So I'm like, so what you doing right now? She's like, nothing in my night clothes. I'm like, in your night clothes? Well, what type of night clothes you got on? She's like, pajama pants and a t-shirt. I'm like, oh yeah, you got on underwear? She's like, yes. I mean, of course I have on underwear. So I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, why you ask me that? I'm like, I just, want to see you in your underwear. She's like, you want to, why don't you just FaceTime me so you can see me in my underwear? I can take my pajama pants off. So I'm like, okay. So she, FaceTime me and she takes her, pajama pants off. I'm like, you a little thick, little nice little thing, huh? She's like, I guess. So I'm like, why you say it like that? She's like, I mean, I don't have a big butt. I mean, I want a big butt, but I don't have a big butt. I'm like, you do got a big butt. If you don't, I'll give you a big butt. She's like, you gonna give me a big butt. How you gonna give me a big butt? I'm like, you put your mind together. So she's like, what, sex? I'm like, yeah. She's like, I am a virgin. I'm not, I mean, I think about it, but not, I mean, I don't want to lose it yet. I'm like, oh, you don't? She's like, I promised my mother I wouldn't lose my virginity. And she was like, I promised my mother that I wouldn't lose my virginity until I was at least 18 to 19 years old. Because my mom really is overprotective over me and she doesn't want to see like no kids running around here anytime soon. Like she doesn't want to hear that. So I'm like, I promise you I'll be very gentle with you. She's like, but David, I just ain't ready for that yet. Can we just take it slow? And you say you like me and I like you too, and we can do this. Like we can go out on dates and stuff. My mom said I can date, so everything's cool. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, hold on, can I ask you a question? She's like, yeah. I'm like, so do you miss being a baby or something? She's like, why you ask me that? I'm like, because you be posting a lot of pictures. Like my fans be saying you be posting a lot of pictures of you as a baby a lot on your like IG. She was like, your fans told you that? I'm like, yeah. She was like, I only post stuff like that because I don't. I mean, those were my best days. That was like when I was a kid. That's when I started like getting into the business of acting. So when I post stuff like that, I just want people to know where I started from, like the beginning of everything. That's I started from when I was a little kid in commercials. So I just want people to know that I'm still that little girl, but I did grow up, but like I don't forget where I came from, and I don't want people to think that I forgot how I started. So when I post stuff like that, I just want people to know that I still remember where I started from, like from the beginning. So I'm like, I get what you're saying. So she's like, it's not that I miss being a baby. It's just, I just want people to know that that's how it all happened. So I'm like, okay. So she's like, so you get what I'm saying now? I don't know if it really got across to you right. But I'm like, yeah, I was like, yeah, I mean, it got across the way it got across. So she's like, okay. So I'm like, why you keep saying okay a lot? She's like, I don't know. I say okay a lot when I'm nervous. I'm like, oh, you do? She's like, yeah. And I be nervous a lot about a lot of stuff, especially when I do events. She was like, I be really nervous. I'm like, you do? She's like, a whole lot, yeah. Sometimes I get anxiety where I think I can't do it. But then something inside of me just forces myself to do it. So I'm like, okay. So she's like, and then I just do it. So I'm like, oh, okay. So there's one more part to this, and y'all gonna like this last part because this last part is gonna shock y'all. So get ready for the third part, and that's what it's gonna be.